Okay, we're going to do another color grading video. I was going to do a color grade to my favorite show of the year, but I couldn't decide. There's so many good ones. The Bear, The Resort, the other resort show, what was it called? The White Lotus. So instead, I'm going to do the most watched show this year. I watched the most episodes of this. It was either this or it's going to be Star Trek Enterprise because I never got around to watching Star Trek Enterprise, but do you recognize what this is? This is Taskmaster. This is the British version. I've watched parts of the American version and it's just not as good, and that makes me sad, but I just absolutely love the British Taskmaster. It makes my brain do all the things. This is, I believe, Champion of Champions. This was a couple years ago. But the reason I'm doing this is because they have a really aggressive color grade on there. It's really stylized. I'm doing interior shots because the stuff I'm trying to match it to is me again, and I'm inside looking like a champion. But yeah, so they usually, every scene opens up with like a montage of like goofy close-ups and focus pulls and stuff. But it's really stylized, and so let's just try to address what they're doing here. That gold necklace is really standing out on Catherine Ryan. So a few things. First thing is, they're doing a teal orange look, but not a regular teal orange look. This is like a teal straw look, and so teal in the low lights. You can sort of see it in his jacket a little bit, but basically, you know, all this furniture that presumably is black is actually kind of a little bit bluish, a little bit teal, and then all the highlights, instead of being sort of what Michael Bay would do, would be like orange. More of a straw, more of a yellow. You know, also the production design, you know, leans into this, and so there's a lot of contrasty blue and yellow going on. But yeah, there's just a lot of yellow in the image. Even this, you know, they spray painted it gold. You can see practicals are basically looking like they're supposed to, so they're supposed to be looking amber, but they're, you know, kind of. This is that small side room, and so presumably behind us is the windows, and you can kind of see that they added lights too, because there's lights. You know, glaring off of that, and then if you look at the trophy, I believe it's window lights window, or it's lights window lights. I think that's actually this is probably the window, and it's probably the lights, augmenting the window in the middle. I bet it's the door actually, because I think it's the door to go outside. Anyway, so there's a lot going on, but basically it's daylight, and then the practicals are tungsten balanced, so incandescent balanced, and so. Yeah, and if I was a betting man, I'd say they probably shot this on Sony. This just kind of feels like Sony looks, but I've been wrong before. But yeah, just as far as speaking towards the teal straw of it all, you know, we're sort of in the yellow area over here. Orange would be sort of more, you know, closer to the skin tone line. So, but yeah, there's a lot of yellow happening, a little bit of red, which I believe is just Alex's skin tone, because the skin tone looks pretty strong, pretty decent. And then there's a lot of, I'd say teal, because this is blue and this is cyan, so it's kind of like right in the middle. And it's pretty consistent. It's even the really crazy colors, like his red orange sweater. I don't actually know what this sweater really looks like. I'd say it's pretty orange based on, we know that this is red. This is sort of like a rose red or like a pinkish red, that Taskmaster seal. So I think it's a bright orange jacket. And then his is also weirdly a very similar color, Noel Fielding's. So, you know, there's a lot of color pushing around going on. It's a very aggressive look, and it's very high contrast. So let's just try to get into it. Let's try to match. So the reason I picked this one is these are the two that I've been using lately for color grades. Ignore the face. The face is a disaster. I'll be the first to admit. Daylight on my face. Tungsten practicals. That's the idea. So same thing as these. Daylight on him, tungsten practicals. This one, so daylight tungsten practicals, daylight face tungsten practicals, and then this is all just daylight everywhere. And this is actually kind of fake, because I think I blocked out the windows. You would be able to see a window here if it wasn't blocked out. And you can kind of see from the light right here. So I believe there's a light back here, daylight balanced, and I believe there's a light back here, daylight balanced. And actually, you know what? I think the light here is right in front of me. I think it's a big softbox or something right here, and then just a daylight balanced like kicker, basically. The shadows are facing the wrong direction. which annoys me, but you know, you never know. And you can see the different shadows. So you can see a strong shadow coming from the right. That's what that is, and then a lesser shadow right there. That's naughty. Shame on me. But in fairness, there is a window back here and a window back here. So I would have those cross shadows if I was just using window light, but it annoys the heck out of me. Anyway, let's go into the color grade and see if we can color to it. So I think this is probably going to be my hero shot of little Alex Horn and or even Rob. A lot of saturation on Rob's face, actually. It's a little orange, but very saturated. He's a very white guy, so that's interesting. And then, yeah, and this is, I always forget his name. Josh Whitcomb, I believe is his name. Yeah, so let's try to do it. Here we go. Here's my regular node tree if we want to walk through that. Basically, I can just turn all this off. So this first one is just a color shade space transform going from my Blackmagic to Rec 709. So that's just getting us in the zone. And then I did an exposure change. I added, I think, a stop. That isn't even going to tell me. I added half a stop, and then this is just a white balance adjustment because it was looking a little green. So let's get into it. Let's try to match to little Alex Horn. First thing you notice is I'm looking kind of purpley. There's a lot of purple in the shot. There's basically less contrast and there's less color contrast, and so you can check contrast by looking at this. The right chunk is me. We can do a waveform, make it even more obnoxious. The right chunk is me, the left chunk is Alex. So there's that. So it definitely needs contrast, but there's also a color contrast difference in that, again, pull up the vector scope. If we just go to me and just take all the saturation out, so there's no saturation, this vector scope now just represents the image on the left. Yeah, again, mostly in yellow, a little bit in red, and then a ton in teal, and then just a little bit in green sort of crossing over, which I believe is a consequence of the yellow. So, and then when you add me back in, I'm everywhere, but I'm also further up and to the right. So I have the same information as they do, but I also have this big push to the red that they don't really have. So I think the first move is to try to get the contrast and exposure locked in, because this is not nearly as contrasty of an image as this. Look at his jacket compared to everything around him. Very high contrast. So we'll eyeball it. I'm just going to add general contrast until I think I'm close. Something like that, maybe. Let's see that shadow under my chin really comes in. That may be a little much, but maybe something like that. I'm okay with that. That's doing a lot. I do think I need to bring the exposure up on my face a little bit, though, so we'll do that in gain. We'll just bring it up, just, you know, to taste, obviously. Obviously, this Alex's jacket is all the way at the bottom, and I don't really have anything totally black like that. Maybe this frame, so that's not really necessary. This blue couch would sort of show up as one of these edge pieces. So, okay, I think we're getting there. Not super happy about what I'm doing with my eyes, but you work with what you're given. You know, when your actor sucks, that's what you gotta do. So we'll call this exposure, and let's add a node. I think the next move is to try to get everything in the sort of teal straw of it all, but I'm not going to do a proper teal orange look until the very last node, because I want to try to isolate colors more. Just because, yeah, see, look at all these colors just all over the place still. It's, you know, it's how I shoot it. It's because I shoot it under light, and so the light hits everything, and the light, normal light tends to have a lot of all the colors. If you're using an LED light and you've set it to like red, there's a good chance the LED light is only showing red. Whereas if you use an incandescent light and it's showing red, it also still has a bunch of the rest of the spectrum in it, and it's not just red, which is useful for color grading. That's just, I don't know where to put that in my speech, but that's just something to know. So if you set an RGB LED light to a specific color, it abandons the rest of the colors, which is not how gelling traditional lights works. Yeah. I might do a video on that one day to show how frustrating that is. It happened to me on a short film a while ago where we decided to have this room be sort of purpley blue and dim, and then in post, the director decided he didn't want it purpley blue. But when you try to take out purpley blue, it just turns everything gray because there's no other color available. So that was just that was a problem. Yeah. So let's just go into. I like to use the curves. We're gonna do hue versus sat, and I know we want blue, so let's go ahead and do blue. It'll be silly because this show very much is silly. Like look at Rob's jacket or look at Josh's shirt. It's just there's a silliness to it for sure. I'd say the level of silliness is pretty close. I could even go further, but I don't think I want to. I don't think we need green. We definitely want yellow, so let's add a bunch of yellow. And we want to lose purple, I bet. I'd say let's try to lose some purple, so something there maybe. We'll try to, oh, it's gonna kill my lips, but that's okay. Try to do that, and then we'll get rid of magenta too. So, yeah, because I like how this red is now starting to look like that sort of red toy house thing, dollhouse, I guess. I don't super like what it's doing on my lips, so maybe I'll try to fix that real quick. Oh, that's why. Okay, so let's do a node there, and we'll just fix this, something like that. Yeah, I think we're going in the right direction. It's definitely still too everything, so I'll probably have to do a contrast or a color boost adjustment at the end, but I mean a saturation or a color boost adjustment at the end to sort of bring down some of this craziness because I'm just doing this in proportion to the rest of itself. Yeah. Skin tones. Let's try to look at skin tones real quick. I'm actually not mad at it. It's also contextual, and so he's around a lot of, white and yellow and blue, where I'm very much around sort of a pinkish, goofy hue, because his back wall is white, and this splash on the wall is the incandescent lamps splashing on it, or the tungsten lamps splashing on it. Whereas mine, this wall is sort of already sort of tan orange, and then the tungsten lights are just making it worse. Yeah, so I think we can, but I think the face is actually fairly okay. I might go back and, no, I'm actually pretty okay with the face. So let's just move on. So we'll call this HSL, but basically it was just sat, hue sat luminance, is what HSL means, but it was just sat. So let's go ahead and let's try to do the teal straw / teal orange of it all now. We'll go into log. I like doing log just because if you put it in the primaries, this is what happens. Yeah, it easily goes crazy quickly. So, but if you put it in log, it's a lot more subtle. Just my preference. So we'll do that, something like that. It's subtle, but it's there. You can really see it in my hair, which makes sense. I have a pretty similar hair color to Alex, and so I think we're going in the right direction. And then we'll do a straw, and I think I want to do a straw in the midtones. And the true straw, true yellow, is just taking away blue, so you just minus blue. I don't know if I fully like that. I'm actually pretty okay with that. It's doing something, and then we'll take away some blue in the high. Actually, you know what? Let me look at this. Let me just try to see if I can line some stuff up. See if that solves most of our problems here. Oh, my graphics card didn't like that. Something like that. I think I went too far with it, but I like it. Yeah, and then I guess we could do, so we'll call this the teal straw, and then we'll do one more node just to balance, just to finish it out, and we'll call this adjustments. There's a J in that word, and let's just bring down. I think we need to bring down color boost, and color boost Unlike saturation, saturation seems to change saturation universally. Color boost seems to change saturation based on what's already saturated. So you could still do that in, I believe sat versus sat is how to do that, but I'm just more comfortable using color boost because I think it's doing what I'm asking it to do, and it's not making me have to think about what the chart would be doing. So yeah, let's just take a little bit of color boost out. I'm pretty happy with that. I feel like if I wanted to, I could stand to I could fix the background. Yeah, we might as well fix the background while we're here. So let's just do this. We'll do this, and we'll add a node, and we'll just do background. And this is where we're getting aggressive with it. Qualifier, background, and let's see if we can key the background without not keying me, which could be tricky. Hopefully I've put in enough contrast to actually make it work. Let's see. I mean, that's pretty solid. Let's see if I can fix the saturation a little bit. My GPU's mad at me, I can already tell. I should have done this at a lower resolution, but something like that. And maybe let's just do a little bit of clean black to clean that. Clean black didn't do anything. Let's just do blur radius because it's gonna be the background anyway. Something like that. Okay, and I think we just need to take some saturation out because I don't actually have a problem with the color necessarily, but we can do both. We'll do the color and the saturation, so we'll just make it a little cooler and then take some saturation out. Yeah, I mean, what do you think? Does this sell for you? Do these two looks look real, other than my mouth is agape in a very unsettling way? Do these two looks look more or less okay to you? I buy it. I mean, they're not one-to-one, but I think what sells it is the contrast and the very hint of teal in the lowlights, and then a little bit of straw yellow in the highlights, and the fact that red looks. I mean, the red looks even more different in Taskmaster, so I could probably refine it if I wanted to, but I'd say that reasonably sells. So let's go ahead and walk through how we did this. We did an exposure change that got us very far. We did some saturation stuff. You know, I can almost take it or leave it. I kind of prefer the regular shirt color, but for what we're doing, I think that works too. The teal straw of it all, that made a huge difference, which is what happens when you do these teal orange or teal straw pushes. The kind of adjustments that affect everything, like going into your log wheels and actually moving colors around. I think the adjustments are you can make them very extreme, but I do think they sell because they affect all the colors, whereas something like just isolating colors and pushing them up and down, which is what I did on the HSL node. You know, come on, there we go. That's really obnoxious. You can also do it in the color warper. I find I'm more precise using a horizontal graph than versus this warper sort of hexagonal graph. But yeah, we pop on the teal and straw. We fix the background, which is, you know, a bit of a cheat because keying out stuff only works for the shot, and so if I'm doing other shots, there's a reasonable expectation it's going to be tough to match, and I'd have to adjust the keys on all the shots. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of keying of this because it's contextual, and so unless you have a lot of time, keying I just feel like it's a last ditch attempt because it's so intricate. It takes a lot, and then the final adjustment. So yeah, I dig it. What was this? What did I do? I mean, I've already forgotten. I just brought the color boost down. So I could, you know what, let me just bring the color boost back in just a bit. I think that's the move. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I buy it. You know, we went from a pretty low saturation, kind of a flat look to, I think what sells it is the contrast, and we'll do this one. Again, the only real difference between these two is the one on the right. I don't have my lights on, and so this is basically just the experience of the windows or the daylight looking at me. I have my eyes closed. That's concerning. But let's go ahead and just copy the grade over and see how we did. We'll look at this one. Yeah, I think a little bit of adjustment could be maybe the exposure adjustment. Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with that. Yeah, I just think maybe turn off the exposure adjustment. Ooh, the exposure adjustment's pretty intense. But yeah, I'm pretty okay with this. Yeah, we'll go into this exposure and we'll go into primaries, and maybe we'll just kill the gain up. Move it up a little bit. Something like that. I buy it. So let's look at our 4 shots together and see how we did. Yeah, I mean, I'm very into that. And so a very aggressive look for Taskmaster. They're doing this high contrast thing. They're pushing certain colors, which is fun. I'm fairly certain they're shooting on Sony, because it does kind of just give me the vibe that they're just enhancing how Sony already sort of spits it out. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. So yeah, if you haven't seen Taskmaster, high recommend. It's a game show, but it's just not an American game show, and I'm pretty sure that's why the American version fell on its face so hard. But what it does to my brain, I very much enjoy. So that's what we got. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you on the next. See you next time.